Hello students, in this class we are going to discuss about participatory rural appraisal. Let us begin the session with the concept of PRA. PRA is a methodology which helps in interacting with local communities, understanding them and learning from them. PRA is a useful and effective approach to gather data in the rural area. This method was introduced in 1990s with substantial form top-down approach onto the learning process. This is based on village experience where communities effectively manage their natural resources. PRA can be done with the help of panchayat leaders, animators, facilitators, NGO representatives, village level workers and self-help group women. It is based on the principle that local people are creative and capable and can do their own investigations, analyze and planning. The basic concept of PRA is to learn from the people. You may be excited to know how is PRA conducted. Let me explain that. Prior permission with the local representatives, panchayat officials need to be taken before commencing the program. Interaction with rural folk need to be carried out before conducting PRA. Prior information need to be given to the village about the visit. Depending on the purpose for which PRA is to be carried out, the target group is identified. Village people or need to meet at the common place during the visit when they are comparatively free from household chores and field work. Village people provide the needed information about themselves instead of collecting data from the individuals. The PRA team and villages meet together to rank the listed problems. Ranking opportunity that are available for the highest priority problems are then ranked. Criteria for ranking include equity, productivity, sustainability and feasibility. Actual work will be performed mainly by the community members, only under the technical guidance of the technical expert. Follow-up and evaluation is the integral process of participatory rural appraisal. It is a group-based approach method for collecting the information. Materials needed for conducting PRA techniques: pencil, felt paper, chart paper, scissors, stones, sticks and other accessories are needed for conducting of PRA experiment. When and where to conduct PRA? It can be carried out based on the convenience of the local people. Timing basically early in the morning around 8 o'clock, finished before sunset time. Common place like community hall, school ground, under the tree or panchayat office, backyard, etc. Methodology used in PRA. The methodology include three aspects: secondary data, review and direct observation, diagrams or visual sharing. Secondary data review. Secondary information is published or other people acquire unpublished data at an earlier time. Such data can be found in government agencies, non-governmental organizations and marketing bodies. Time spent or quickly reviewing and summarizing the secondary data is the form of simple tables. Diagrams or brief written notes can be considerable value in setting the PRA in the context of previous work. Direct observation. This is relatively straightforward method and encompasses any direct observation of field objects, events, process, relationship or people that is recorded by the team. Some of more innovative forms of direct observation rely on carefully chosen indicators. These are events, processes and relationship that are easily observed or measured, but can be used as an indicator or some other variable that is more difficult impossible to observe. Diagrams or visual sharing. The major PRA technique is to conceptual diagrammatic models or visual sharing. This present information is an understanding visual form. Their usefulness is twofold. First, the act of constructing the diagrams itself, an analytical procedure and helping them to think through the dynamics that they are trying to put on paper. Second, they become a means of creating communication among different people. They may be constructing the diagram together or one person may be attempting to use the diagram to inform others how they see an issue. Such communication may be between different disciplines and people with different sectorial responsibilities. Visual sharing is a common element in each PRA. With questionnaire survey, information is transferred from the interview. The information becomes personal and private, owned by the interviewer and unverified. In contrast with visual sharing of map, model, diagram or units used for quantification, all can see, point, to discuss, manipulate and after physical objects of representative. So, there are chances of triangulation and cross-checking. The learning is progress. The information is visible and public presented, modified, owned and verified by the participants. PRA Tools and Techniques. Mapping. Mapping is the first step and one of the important tools to gain an understanding the special feature of the village. It involves sketching various landmarks in the village such as temple, school, community hall, panchayat office, health center, cooperative and technology development, etc. To perform the exercise, village volunteers are asked to draw the outline of the ground with a stick or chalk or other locally available materials. After the completion of the drawing, ask the volunteers to locate the important buildings in the village and also ask them to show which part of the village is oldest and which direction it has expanded to mark the difference of the village. The specific map may be include one or more of the following. Social map. Social map indicates the position of the household in the village and their socio-economic characteristics. Once the social map is drawn by the villages, it became easier for them to describe the location within the village in terms of road, rivers, the characteristics of household, the ownership of dwellings and buildings and land use patterns in terms of poor and non-poor household in the village. Social map visually present the location of such household and their key features. In addition, there is also scope for presenting other kinds of information regarding household such as heads of household, whether male or female, ownership of asset, cattle, beneficiary, under any program, health care characteristics and so on. Social map can be used for further probing for collecting more information through semi-structured interviews. Social mapping is used to gain information on number of household, educational level, occupation and other social facilities available in the village. The main objective of the social mapping is to know who is living where, to know the social structure of the village. The map reveals the various castes and subcastes are habited in the village. Land use map. Land use map is to know the available land in the village. It gives the idea of land availability, type of soil, dry land, cultivable land, irrigation, agriculture, forest, fruit trees and also barren and uncared land in the village. In this group, people who are involved in this exercise will mark the area and that will be useful for the planners. Crop mapping. This map depicts variety of crops grown in the village in various seasons. Irrigation map. This map provides information on irrigation facilities in the village and to understand the agricultural facilities available for the farmers at various stages. Example, minor irrigation, major irrigation, etc. This will be useful for agriculture planners. Enterprise map. Through this activity, we can identify various entrepreneurial related activities exist in the village, like income generating activities, entrepreneurship program. Through this exercise, we can identify the entrepreneurial need and what type of program need to be conducted in near future. Mobility map. This map shows the mobility of the village communities in various regions and also to know the purpose of mobilization, education, occupation, marketing and other important purpose of mobilization. Historical timeline. This shows the details of important events of the past. Timeline is a useful PRA tool. Various landmarks of the village on different aspects like education, social, technological, etc. Senior citizen to be involved in this program to get better results. The main advantage of the mapping to know the village settlements, changes in the village over time, history of the village, changes and availability of natural resources, natural and man-made disasters, various events like favorable and unfavorable ones. Infrastructure construction details, etc. This shows the clear picture of positive and negative impact of the village community. Historical profile. In a historical profile, village provide historical account of changes occurred in different aspects of village life. It can be used for probing various aspects of quantity, quality of life of rural people and the changes occurred over the period of time. A historical transect or a timeline or the different form of historical profile. historical transact can be done with elderly people who have knowledge on their village over a number of years and able to provide historical account of the village. It can be done separately with males and females to bring the difference in the various perspectives. It can help in knowing the major changes and event occurred in the past, like changes in cropping pattern, composition, trends in milk production, criteria of infrastructure, and identify different kinds of change agents happened in the village. In timeline, elderly people narrate their life history. Since it is often difficult to remember the exact dates of important changes, the villages can be facilitated by broadly connect such changes with major events, political regimes, and summarize events and change that have taken place during their lifetime. Transact walk. Transact walk can be simple and casual walk to collect data in the village. This may be carried out with different age group covering different sides of the village. This will provide opportunity to interact with the people who are not participated in the exercise. This will give clear picture of physical amenities available in the village. Resource map. A village resource map can show different kinds of natural resources and microenvironment. In the resource map, the village draw a resource profile of the village depicting different kinds of soil, river, ponds, trees, crops, grazing lands, irrigation system, etc. The problems can be prescribed and discussed on the basis of the resource map along with the opportunities and the constraints. These also form a basis of transact walk. This map depicts the availability of the resources in the village in terms of both human, material and animal resources, population in the village, occupation pattern, educational level, organized and unorganized work, infrastructure, health facilities, stationery, groceries, etc. Transportation, vehicles such as cycle, bus, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, auto, tempo, truck availability in the village. Depending upon the objective of the PRA, items under resources inventory identified and documented for the village as a whole. This method helps in gauging the economic level of the village and the farmers. Seasonality diagramming. Rural livelihood are internally connected with seasonality. Each session has its own problems and the rural people have different strategies for the livelihood. The season bear heavily on the physical conditions which in turn influence their life. Season brings about difference in climate changes which in turn influence their life. Season bring difference in climatic condition, crop ground, availability of water, food, fuel, fodder, milk, feeds for animals, etc., which in turn influence their living conditions. Seasonal diagramming can lead to comparison of related aspects of rural livelihood and their livelihood with food, employment, work, diseases, etc. Seasonal diagramming, the village prepare diagrams and charts for the socio-economic and physical phenomena under study, either on ground or on paper. The diagrams can be for season, months, days, etc. Seasonal calendars are prepared for cropping system, rainfall in the region, irrigation, fodder demand, workload of farmers and farm women. Task calendars are designed specifically to understand the nature of work during different seasons for men and women and children in the field and at home. This calendar helps in understanding involvement of family members hired in different labor work and farm activities during different seasons of varying crops. Venn diagram. This will be drawn by the village folk. Venn diagram show how community is linked with various institutions that will depict in the picture. Various institutions as circle of varying sizes, institution and that is apparent as more useful by the villagers is represented by a bigger circle in the Venn diagram. Larger circle represent large or more important component. Smaller circle represents smaller or less important component of the organization. These are visual methods to represent the role of individuals or institution and the degree of their importance in decision making. In such diagram, circles of different sizes represent an individual or institution whose size shows degree of its importance in decision making and the distance of the closeness of the village. How easily it can be approached in a village to draw a Venn diagram would reflect the kind of communication between the village community and other government organizations and non-governmental organizations. Different aspects can be taken to adjust the role of decision making involving village planning in running of projects, in distribution of service and implementation of projects. Daily routine diagram. This reflects the kind of activities which one does not a daily basis. They not only show time spent in different activities, but also the size of the work involved. For instance, women spread different hours of a day in activities like feeding children, cooking, fetching water, grazing and looking after livestock, collecting firewood, etc. It is possible to identify general pattern from daily patterns. The general pattern can be compared. Such daily routine can also be depicted on the seasonal basis in order to identify constraints and workload of different groups related to their different activities. Farm map. In case of individual household, a village who own a farm can be asked to draw a map of their farm in order to show what is grown on the farm and where. The farm map is an ideal tool for knowing the minute details of your farm, its soil condition, crops grown, water management, fertilizer use and yield. It can help in sequencing the seasonal analysis or livelihood analysis to know about their livelihood pattern of resource poor farmers. Flow diagram. This shows the cause-effect relationship among different factors and can be effective for understanding the interlink among the different aspects of rural life. The village can be asked to identify different causes of problem which they can be facing and also be interconnect with different aspects. Changes and trends. To identify the recent trends and changes take place in the villages, it is important to tap the changes in various fields like science and technology, agriculture and allied activities, animal husbandry, entrepreneurial activities, marketing. Gap analysis is to measure the gap between what is and what should or could be. Gap analysis is a useful tool for participatory rural appraisal. In one hand, the actual practices being followed or noted for, say, rice cultivation, and along with the existing practices, the recommended practices are noted. The exercise carried out with the participants or farmers provide them with better understanding of advanced technology. Ranking and scoring. This depicts the preference of the village people. These methods are useful to learn from the people about their categories, criteria, choices and priorities. Examples: farmers' preferences of crops, vegetables or a particular variety of crops, etc. This method of ranking and scoring reveals priorities and preferences. They provide opportunity to rural people physically rank and re-rank some items or preferences of some uses and explain their reasons for giving ranking. This can be help in understanding rural people, criteria, preferences and choice in matters of occupation, food, fuel, fodder, energy, uses, etc. This can be used for easy comparisons. Ranking methods includes preference ranking, pairwise ranking and direct matrix ranking. Preference ranking or direct matrix ranking. Preference ranking involves ranking of a set of problems, preferences or priorities on the basis of the criteria for easy perception. Three types of ranking: wealth ranking, pairwise ranking and matrix ranking. Wealth ranking. This helps to know the economic status of the community and find out the financial status of the individual family. This method is sensitive because people may hesitate to reveal the real financial status, land holding, material possessions, etc. It is the method of ranking, grouping of household on the basis of income, wealth and other wealth of local measure of well-being. Different criteria can be used based on the rural perception. The underlying presumption is that rural people have the necessary knowledge to rank or group households, which implies that they have knowledge of kinds and position of household assets, other items and attributes of the household concern. Matrix ranking. This is important tool in PRA. It is used to identify their interest, perception about the topic. This may be environment related aspects like agriculture pattern, dry land cultivation, etc. This method helps to identify the observation of the village people. In this matrix scoring exercise, different attributes and criteria are listed which are ranked either on the basis of fixed scoring or free scoring according to their relevance importance. Pairwise ranking. which uses two items or attributes at a time for ranking and direct matrix. Preferences. Ranking involves ranking at a set of problem preferences or priorities on the basis of their criteria of easy perception. Livelihood analysis. This calendar is meant to assess the livelihood status of the village with relevance to the seasonal variation and other issues related to entrepreneurial activities. It is also useful to understand the strategies of different economic groups focusing on expenditure, income, source and credit facilities and other forms of production. Livelihood analysis. It depicts both behavior and adjustment strategies of household with different socio-economic characteristics. Each household has strategies to cope up with difficult situations. Such analysis can account for the income and expenditure pattern, bed pattern, consumption pattern, income by source, and understanding of existing livelihood opportunities. Let me conclude. PRA is basically an intensive activity of understanding all aspects of village life in a short span of time. It provides an alternate framework for data collection and analysis. Because of its participatory nature, it is an useful methodology to focus attention on people, their livelihood and their interrelationship with socio-economical and ecological factors. It is the combination of different approaches to share, enhance, analyze and plan of action. Thank you.